You all right? Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Welcome, everybody. Single folder, we had one Woodland Cemetery contract agreement, somebody bought a lot. And maybe we have timber cuts. Seven? No, it's quite a few.
Quite a few.
Six, right? Six, right? Six timber cuts. I'm not sure what the total cost, but good income. Make a motion to approve the manifest dated July 3rd, 2024 in the amount of $118,198.01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the manifest dated July 11th.
Sit down.
2024 in the amount of $745,494.08. Favor?
Second. Aye.
Aye. 700 and was it 701?
$745,494.
No,
726 and change for the school.
School.
Oh.
Make a motion to approve the minutes dated June 24th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review mail. Much. We did have a annual watershed celebration, Green Mountain Conservation Group. I don't know where it is. Oh, Hunter's Bridge Road. It's on July 30th, 4 to 6 o'clock. And then Chuck's going to talk about the Carroll County Commission District.
So there was a town resident that approached me this week about a rumor running around town with the Fidium fiber. So I reached out to the government relations contact I have there. So the rumor was that Effingham was not getting fiber. They had decided not to run anything in town, which is not true. What is true is it's not going to happen in 2024. So currently Fidium is working on 24 towns. Effingham, Ossipee, Freedom, and Tufton are not part of that grouping because we're part of a what they call a center Ossipee wire center bill. The Q1 2025 bill plans are coming out soon to the government relations department. As soon as they come out, I'll get a call to let me know what that is. The grant application does show over 400 addresses not served in the town of Effingham. That's the good news. But the key point is Fidium is still on track for all the towns on its grant application, which Effingham was, to be built out by Q3, quarter 3, 2025. So we're still going to get it, but we're going to get it in 25. We're not going to get it in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Selectmen reports. Who wants to go first? Which one? Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. Let's see. Trash bags. Let's see. Trash bags on Townhouse Road, Elm Street Road. We get Brad to pick those up. Looks like they fell out of a vehicle.
Yeah, I'll talk to Brad.
Okay. There's 3 items in the packet that I gave you today from Talus Historic Restoration. One is a change order, 2 are add-on orders. And I want to just review those because we have to approve them. The first one is a change order for glass. So we have 24 of the windows at the library, second and third floor. There are 68 of them that had broken windows. There are 125 of them that do not have the historic glass that need to be replaced. The bill for that entire price tag to remove all those windows, put everything back in, reglaze all the windows and everything else, $6,420. I've reviewed this information with Jason Earl, who does consulting work with the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. And Jason says it's a fair price tag. It's not high, it's not low, it's fair based on the type of work that needs to be done for that.
Can I jump in? So we're replacing 125.
We're replacing 125 plus 68.
Oh, plus 60.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand.
There was a sizable number of had issues. And some of the issues were as much as on the lower corner of a window, it was cracked due to the changes of the.
How many panes total?
That's paint, this is paint.
Well, yeah, but
They're on 100 and they're on 200 windows in the town hall, right?
There are 24 windows being taken care of. There are 4, 6, so there are 18 of those that are the larger 6/6 windows. Those panes are about 11 by 17 each. And the other ones on the third floor are smaller, but they're not that much smaller. They're like 4/4 or something like that. But what the company did is they basically went out to source glass. They can't come up with enough historic glass on their own for this size. So they actually have worked with an outfit out of New Jersey called Artisan Glass Works. They shipped up a box of samples. Several people looked at the samples, including Jason, ran around and looked at them up against the window and said, okay, out of the samples, this is the closest version that fits what we have. The one that we chose looks really, really close to what we have. You wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. It's got bubbles in the glass, a little bit of wave. But that's what's going to happen with those. So I'll make a motion at the end of it. The next one is replacing weather stripping. So 5 windows on the first floor that are large 6/6s. When we had those restored a year or so ago, about 2 years ago, they did a very generic, simple weather stripping program. So one of the things the RFP didn't clearly identify is the weather stripping we needed and wanted, which was a full power on my part. One of the things that we have requested is they match the other 13 windows that are there on the first floor, plus everything that's going to go in on the second, third floor, which are actually metal channels. So there's a metal channel that actually gets attached to the inside of the frame. Each of the windows gets grooved out, and basically everything slides in a grave. So it's basically a super tight, draft resistant move. They've got to do all that work on site. So they're bringing out all of their saws and all their equipment to do that when they're out here. And the cost to do that particular job for those 5 windows is $3,000. Again, this has been run by Jason. And he basically feels comfortable with this number for this amount of work that's got to be done on site.
So $600 each.
Basically 600 each. The third one is making 2 basically 6/6 windows. So if you look at the 6/6 windows that are there today, envision where the 2 doors are off the parking lot under the covered ramps. But when you come into the building today, what they did to make those doors is they took out 2 of those 6/6 windows and just put doors in. So the roof caps and everything are still there. If you kind of look up underneath the covered ramp, you can see the caps are there. When we do phase 3, we're going to rip out the doors, ramps, everything comes off. The windows will go back in. When Talus was out here, on the 3rd floor, buried behind some of the stuff that's stored up there, they found 3 of the original window sashes, so the 6/6 sashes themselves, they found 3 out of 4.
Chuck, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah.
And we're cleaning up the third floor. We found those, I put them behind, the door.
You put them, okay, so Leo found them, put them behind the door, I didn't know they existed, but they got found. So, they're actually gonna restore those. They're gonna make a 4th one. And they're gonna make the entire window casing. With the window weights, the rope and everything for the window. Having them ready to go, so when we get ready to do that project, the window's done. Leo and I, back before COVID, drove over to Westbrook and talked to one big window shop that does fabrication. When we did that, they wanted $4,800 a piece for the windows, and that was before COVID. Before all the price increases that have hit that part of the industry. So the price tag to do these 2 windows is $9,100. So it's refinishing the 3 sashes, making the 4th, and then making the jams ready to be input into the building. Plus the. It's nice.
Are you pointing out the same thing I saw?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So cross that out.
Right.
Yeah, and then the 9,100's the numbers I've been talking with Dan. And we've been talking $9,100, never talked $8,600. But I will get that redone. For our records. I missed that. So basically the outline will have that done. So we already have the window shutters, when we did the shutter project for the window, for the entire building. We've already built 2 sets of shutters for these 2 windows that are gonna be replaced down the road. And this will basically give us the windows themselves. We'll store them until we're ready to use them. We'll put them up on the 3rd floor. In talking to Jason, because people had big questions on this number at 9,100 for these 2 windows. There are very few companies that fabricate reproduction windows. And Jason used the term, it's a dying trade, and there aren't that many people doing it. Where we already have a contract with these people, it's less expensive to go this route than it would be to go out and try and hire somebody just to fabricate 2 windows and come back to us with it. So he was comfortable with that $9,100 price.
So they're putting the old wavy glass in there too.
This will also have the wavy glass.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to give people beer goggles and not the lever?
But then it wouldn't satisfy L chips.
Just throwing it out.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't satisfy the natural preservation folks.
Get them with beer too.
So, yeah. So is there any questions to the audience with what's going on with us? Vicky?
The total of all of this.
9,100 plus 6,420 plus 33,000. I did not add all 3 of them up. We already have the money raised for this.
18,
As part of the fundraising for the project.
18 too, right? 64.
6420. So
18.7.
18,520, what'd you put with?
I think that was nothing.
Okay, 6420, 3,000, 9,100,
64.
18,520. 18,520.
But it doesn't come out of the town budget.
No further questions? Okay, good. I'll make a motion to approve the talus restoration change order and the 2 add-ons. The weather stripping project for 3,000, the replication of 2 6/6 windows for $9,100, and the wavy pane reproduction historic glass for $6,420, total of $18,520.
I'll second.
All in favor? Nice.
Thank you,
Right.
and I will get that corrected. Thank you for catching that. I missed that. On the price. Leo and I tomorrow are going to remove two of the window jam sets in that building on the second, third floor. So the windows on the third floor are different size than the second floor. First and second, same size, third's a different size. The interior window jam, a number of them were cracked for whatever reason, and some of them were actually missing on the windows. And Lenny's son, Kevin Espy, has a really great cabinetry woodworking shop over in Millboro. And Kevin is actually going to donate the time and materials to make the jams that we need, from replace the ones that are broken or missing. So we're gonna do that tomorrow and get those over to Kevin. The next item is a roofing RFP for the library. So you have that in there. We need to put out, because the potential repairs to the roof on the south side of the, what we'll call the front of the library where the bell tower is, exceed the $15,000 and hits our procurement policy, which says we need to go out with an RFP, advertise it in the Conway Sun, advertise it in the statewide newspaper, which right now it looks like it's a union leader. That has to be out there for a minimum of 4 weeks, seal competitive bid. There'll be a mandatory walkthrough site visit for anybody that wants to bid on July 26th at 9 AM. That's a Friday. And all the bids have to be in by Monday, 2 PM, August 29th here at the office, and then we'll open them up the next day here in the building.
So you worked with Caitlin already, get this all set up?
No, I just finished it today. We'll do that tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
It's for an agreement. That's like, we gotta do the process, so I need to bring it here.
I got that.
So the RFP basically spells kind of what I just did, plus legalese behind it, and confidential information and other stuff that's there that needs to be disclosed. And I'll work with Caitlin on getting that out the door. So as long as we get this advertised by the end of this week, we'll meet all of the timelines that we need to keep these dates.
So I got a question. What was the price on this one? On just 153 side? How much was it?
It was over 30.
And what's the lifespan on the parking lot side?
He said those were in pretty good shape,
Oh,
but I had planned on phase 3, trying to raise the money to do it. Because it's 23 or 24, 25 years on the shingles right now.
Yeah, so
And the parking lot side's not as bad as the south side.
where I'm going with it is you'll get 2 bids.
To do
Separate. Do this side.
One side and
The other side. Just to look at it.
Yeah,
one side.
Yeah, so
I can actually have the bid
Two
broken.
bids, one for one side, one for the whole thing,
Okay,
cause it may be cheaper for them instead of coming back to do the other side, just
Right.
do everything all at once.
it would be, I already had that discussion. Good, I'll change the RFP
Cause usually, I mean, they're 30-year architectural opinions.
there, and then going with the Atlas one, which is apparently is better quality.
so what might get across with.
So,
Got to do the 2 bids.
Yeah.
So we-
and the thing that up this one a little bit, they can't use the major nail guns to drive the 3-inch nails. They've got to screw all of the 7/16 plywood down. So that alone, because of that manual, I drove the price up. So, but that's why we want a competitive business, if we can bring that down. Okay. I'll do that. City and fire right there. Last item, the next to the last item, Eversource. So I got an email from Mary Kate Daly today. Where basically there is in the middle of summer. And they're actually offering potential volunteer help for things like debris cleanup, gardening, light construction, painting down buildings, etc. If we're interested. So I told her I would bring this to us tonight, and we can begin to think on it, if there's anything we might want to try and use them for.
What else? What's that?
Eversource apparently has some crews that have some time.
This is terrible. So I got a field that needs to be bush hogged. Probably know what they're talking about. but
I'm not sure they got that.
I need my garden weeded.
Yeah, they probably don't. Well, I think part of it is too that I had reached out. to
Will they
her.
do,
I
roadside
reached out to
cleanup?
her a week ago. Because a year and a half ago, they approached the project and the Preservation Society. the Preservation Society wanted to move the pole that's right there next to the building back. So it opens it up a little bit and people don't trip over the wire that's there. And they needed a deed easement across the property. They discovered in the books they didn't have it. So we did a.
2 years
deed
ago.
easement. You provide the movement of the pole, don't charge us, which they agreed to. Which we did the deed easement, the Preservation Society did the deed easement. These
Yeah.
guys never did the work.
2 years ago I did that. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna crank them up and see if I can get them to do that as part of their offer to help us.
I have something,
Good,
our street lights.
what would we like to do with those?
Well, we have a obsolete light out front. We still have blinking lights at a couple of intersections. Maybe because they're an energy company through, I believe that they do like energy things. And can get reduced prices. Are we still looking to get sconces? And we have that conversation with Jeremy for the front of this building?
We haven't yet. Yeah, we should.
Couldn't hurt, right?
Oh, yeah, no, doesn't hurt to ask, all we do is say no.
Good point.
Do we have anything we need to do with lighting it in the fire departments?
We could use some exterior lighting.
And we got our lights for the flagpoles situated, right?
Yep.
Because we also had the question about the effectiveness of the street light that is out front here.
That one we talked about.
Maybe it could be aimed or just, I don't. It seems like their expertise and maybe they.
As far as groundwork, I'd love to refresh the memorial at the fire station. New gravel, new mulch, sacred around it. And maybe even a coat of paint on the fire station, that's something that's on my list, but it's pretty low on the list. What was stuff to do?
Got enough?
Oh, this already generates a few more things I can add on to this too. Okay,
I know there's a big push in a lot of companies that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like almost like a prerequisite of working. You have to volunteer.
well, I think that's part of what it is, because they got that program.
We had that in my.
Okay, good, then I will start that, Caitlin, I'll copy you on that when I send it off. I'm meeting with Dave Strauss and Carol Christopher tomorrow morning to work on the 2020 L-chip grant reconciliation work. So, because the information is not available through QuickBooks in a lot of cases, I've reached out to 6 of the different vendors in the grant companies and asked them to send me their records. So that we've actually got clear records as to what we paid for bills for different things and what we received for money. So we're gonna be working on that tomorrow. And I've already started as a result of work, talking to the CPA town auditor, the Excel sheet to be able to track grants and the format for that. We'll work on that a little bit tomorrow, but I think that's about ready to go, so I can bring it in and show you gentlemen, and if you agree, great, we'll basically work with Michelle and Caitlin to get that going, to track any grants and grant capabilities. Anything with anything coming in from team grants or anything like that, we can use the same spreadsheet for all of it. We'll still have to report on the budget to actual. Basically, bottom line expenses, bottom line revenue, so we'll net out on that, but the tracking offline for all the individual invoices and revenue components will be done through Excel.
Michelle's good with that.
Yeah, because I talked to her and basically said, this is what the accountant said, and she said that would be a whole lot easier from her end,
Yeah, I agree.
from being able to do that.
Yeah, because QuickBooks doesn't have that.
Doesn't track it.
What about? NTS?
That was my next one. They don't have the capability built into the software to do that, so we'd end up doing the same kind of bottom line entries. So what we ultimately, you gotta build a spreadsheet, and it's gotta be managed by whoever's getting running grants with the office, but it's gonna be kept on the town service, and you've got the main backup copy of that document all the time in our hands. In the office.
As far as that software, we're still working on this research.
Yeah.
So there's no dedicated to that software.
No, and I did.
But my next question was MTS. I'm thinking based on the demo we did, we should reach out to them and nail down a proposal with numbers. And we're looking at other options.
Okay.
We've got,
We want to keep the other options. We want.
oh yeah, we need to have, we need at least two more.
Right.
And I've already talked to one that said no, so theoretically we only need to do one more meeting. But I'll reach out to him and I'll talk to you on it, Caitlin, and basically give us, we need some numbers. We talked here, we need numbers. Planning firm.
Good.
That's all I have today.
Thank you. Chris?
So tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have a conference call scheduled with Steve Whitley from Drummond and Woodson. He is a bond counselor. So you have to have bond counsel before you ask for a bond and apply for a bond. So it's just a starting thing. Doesn't say we're bonding, just for the record, just all things to get ready for a bond, to see if we even qualify and so forth. That is obviously for what I propose for a road project, in addition to possibly adding on another $1 million for an addition to the fire station for additional use of the fire department and for making a public safety building. So there's been a conversation for anybody that wasn't here. That's been an ongoing conversation about how the police department needs to get out of the 30s and now 38-year-old double wide trailers to meet certain
We can only put so much fiber on the floor.
Yeah.
For people to fall through.
to meet certain requirements and things like that. Something needs to happen. So that's tomorrow at 1. I'm meeting with Jeff Perry from GMI on Monday, Monday at 3 o'clock. To go over the possible, changes, just to get a ballpark figure for the bond, for the roads. To possibly encompass doing a shim coat. Give me a second, I can get my brain caught up here. An overlay of Townhouse Road along with this bond project, because that is now 13 years old. Anybody that drives it can see it's starting to come apart. Particularly, if nothing else, the first half of it. It's 3 miles long, so we can do 1.5 miles from 153 this way. That would get the worst part of it. But it is starting to come apart. There's alligator cracks everywhere. Crack sealing, once it gets to a certain point, is non-effective. So, and on crack sealing, I walked Green Mountain Road. That is, for me, I feel is a priority. The road is less than 5 years old. I think we should address the cracks that are in that road and keep that good before it turns into alligator cracks. And I did talk about this at the last meeting. So folks see white paint marks on Green Mountain Road in the area I always get them backwards, West Range Road, all the way to the bottom of Champion Hill Road and Elm Street. That's me. So, because a lot of these crack sealing companies, the company we've been using for the last couple of years, not saying we're not going to use them, but they charge by the pallet. Other ones, they charge by the foot, and sometimes they charge by the day. So by me identifying every single crack, they can literally go out there with a wheel and measure and give us a most accurate price. And trying to schedule that to get a company here at the same time that Jim and I has them come to do the centerline separation on Elm Street, that short section that you had discussed. I did find that there is a lot of centerline separation on Green Mountain Road as well, at several locations, including the part that was just the most recent part that was done in 2022. It's called cold seam separation. If it's too long of a span between when they pave one side and they come back the other side, there's a separation because it shrinks, even though you get overlapped, because an ugly joint is a good joint. They're supposed to overlap quite a bit, and it kind of looks ugly at first, but that's the wear coat, and as the plow rubs it off, whatever, you get a nice even joint where you get that shrinkage in the asphalt, and center line separation, cold joint separation. Um. While I was out, doing the crack seal, and I noticed that the island at the intersection of Rifle Road, Green Mountain Road, the street sign was completely encapsulated in brush. So I went ahead and cut that all down, and cut out a few blind spots. And so that brings me to street signs. We had the street sign bandit struck again over the weekend. More signs came up missing. So it's an ever-growing list. It's kind of hard for me to keep up with it, but I'll do my best. And they did, it's not just our community, the town of Ospey is going through the same issue. There is supposed to be a stop sign, so anybody that's listening out there, you do have to stop at the end of Elm Street. That's one of the stop signs that went missing, and trying to keep up with the speed limit. The police chief is gonna, I think he's gonna address in his report an issue with speeding and GPS, a little bit later on here. And containers being moved at the transfer station, I think I mentioned that. And the dirt roads themselves are holding up fairly well. We haven't had any trench or rain. So hopefully it continues, and I was afraid
A couple more days. We will.
I was afraid that the calcium chloride was gonna be completely washed out because we applied it. Again, I brought that up at the last meeting, and then it poured, but it seems to be holding fairly well, so on the roads that it was applied, so $17,000 worth of calcium, you hope it don't get washed away, so it seems to be holding up for now. And I always remember something afterwards, but for now, that's it.
Well, I just want to, speaking of roads, what's with your bond and the roads and all that, we're still doing a parallel. RFP for,
Pine River Road, that's correct.
I don't know.
Where does that stand? It's written and compared, so
It hasn't gone out.
Right, or should we get that out soon?
you wanna get it out, so we needed to have that conversation too. I didn't know I was gonna do that on other business.
No, we don't have to do it now, I mean, but we need to talk about it. Make a point on that. All right. You all set?
So I remember something else,
Okay, well, nothing came up right.
not yet.
All right, so my report, basically I was out on vacation the week before, so. As far as the transfer station, from an electrical standpoint, that it wasn't identified correctly to shut off with 120 and 240 or 220. So we got the new signs, Jeremy put the new signs in, so all have been installed, so, and Mark and the guys are all aware of it, so that's good. Snow blower's been delivered to the transfer station. Also, today, right, yesterday, I submitted a request from the transfer station for additional signs to put onto the containers and things like that, so we're working on that.
And you're doing that through NRR.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just sent the email, but I didn't know who in the past that we got these signs from.
Yeah, now I know it's NRR.
Yeah, that's where we get the signs and transfer station. That was part of that membership thing, so they give you so many points for sign purchase, and they won't necessarily all be free, but.
That's good.
So I'll look into that. and get that.
Great. Thanks for info. And that's about it. Yeah, that's it. So quick and easy. All right. Department reports. Start off with chief. Oh.
It's probably the front, anybody would like to. June. We started keeping track of that point. Down, 24 is the busiest month that we've ever had. 454 calls of service. 4 arrests were made, 60 motor vehicle stops, 5 motor vehicle accidents, and the K9 was deployed out 3 times. Once for a track, once for a drug review of a vehicle, and another one to just call to assist. Then I knew they didn't quite know what we were walking into. They thought there may be some wanted people saying in the woods, so they asked for the dog to come out.
ended up nobody being there, but better safe than sorry.
That's one of our areas, towns, that was in.
Yeah, it was Freedom. It was right over the line. But it was dealing with some people that were causing issues in that weekend as well.
Okay, good.
So through June of last year, there was 1,834 calls for service handled. Through June of this year, we handled 2,248. So we're up 414 calls so far for the year. And just a little sad for last year, June of 23, we handled 325. So as you can see, it's a significant jump. And a lot of what, it's hard for me to spell out exactly how much time we spent on the thing, but we did have some pretty significant investigations that tied us to our desk for a lot more time than we wanted to be there. So, and it's difficult, and you know, sometimes we're not overlapping as much because we're trying to provide more coverage, but we have to do that overlap so someone can sit at their desk and do what they need to do. So there's still a patrol car out handling calls and so on and so forth. So the demand just keeps getting higher. It's a lot of long days that happen. Through the holiday weekend on the 4th of July, we chose to double up the evening coverage. And I think just on the 4th of July night, we had almost 30 motor vehicle stops just that evening. So I'm sure you saw plenty of crews up and about that night. We stayed very, very busy until about 2 p.m. So we're it was when it finally died down, but it was full chaos for a while.
Were you involved at all with the Providence Lake issue with the fireworks and
On 153.
or 153?
No,
With the 4th Maine State Troopers that came over and broke up a massive issue over there?
I watched them go through. I wasn't sure what was happening. So yeah, I heard about the fireworks. I saw the state troopers go through, but we were dealing with something else. As far as like Chris said there, so everybody's aware, there's some sort of a glitch channel and the GPS is on your phone. And if you guys want to try it, on any of like the town road, a lot of the town roads and a lot of our state highways, the speed limits are defaulting to 55 miles an hour, whether it is or not. I know. It's,
On my GPS, it says 30. It's very.
yeah, so I mean, I tested it myself and thought something for doing 50 something miles an hour. I didn't think the speed limit was 55. I was kind of scared. It's like, well, that should have been your first one, slow down. But so I tested it myself and it was true. So I did wrote the board a little bit of a learn on that, and just so everybody's aware. I'm not sure how we can get that fixed. Look into that tomorrow. But just so everybody's aware, we'll have more than people recently had it.
Just Google them and ask about what they do.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be added with this feature. So more than like.
I'm sure that's what it is. And as far as the sign thefts, if you start noticing any one area that gets specific, we do have some game cameras we can deploy out to try to mitigate that issue. So if you start noticing, it seems pretty sporadic.
Yeah, it's very sporadic, but if you think about it, if you look back and think about it, it's the holiday weekends. So they're winding up in man caves and garages and clubhouses. I always wondered, you drive by somebody's house, there's a place on Old 28, you drive by, and the guy's got speed limit signs, street signs, and
Right.
all of a sudden, barn, it's like, why don't you just like.
I've been doing the flea market up at Rock and Wellness. You would believe the number of street signs and speed limit, stop signs and everything.
But yes, the the trend is still upwards. And I'm and I'm gonna explore a system when I get a free minute of it, how I can try to break this down a little bit. So everybody can see the variety,
So they sound,
right, without getting overly specific and maybe.
Maybe it's.
But it's been inherently busy, and June or July was off to a different of the start. Yeah, that's an ongoing thing that we're actually working with. Speak police about, federal. And the post office and stuff. So. That's kind of news development today. I'll bring it back. But it's we're working with Osprey PD on it, in the sheriff's office, and it may be going to the federal and just where some information that we have.
That it?
That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. JT?
All right, we were pretty busy last month as well, we had 33 calls. One of the trends we are noticing, we're seeing more and more of our calls outside of our coverage hours, nights and weekends are starting to be more busy than the day shifts. And that's something that's changed over the last couple of years. So, in June, 42% were during the daytime coverage hours, and 58 were outside of the weekend coverage hours. We're at 235 calls as of the end of June. In the month of June, we did do 2 ambulance transports with our ambulance as well. They were both just perfect storms where action was a little too far out and the patients needed to go to the hospital rapidly. So we were able to get 2 patients to the hospital. For the board, I've been exploring our software and I've found some different metrics that I can pull out of this software. This is kind of the first month I've actually started pulling data from there. So I just lumped a whole bunch of it together and it's a bunch of different pages of data. I'm working on making a better looking report that kind of encompasses it all rather than having multiple pages. But on the second page, you see a full call breakdown. This is quote unquote the public report like I used to give you guys. It doesn't have the street numbers of calls we're going to. They're kind of maintaining some privacy, but it does include the type of call, the time of the call, the apparatus that went. Whether it was during or outside coverage hours and the number of responders. The following page is more of a comprehensive breakdown. It does include full addresses. It includes the quote unquote action taken. So that's our code for what we get at the call. Page following that shows a count of how many calls each piece of apparatus went to. You'll see action only listed on that. Those are medical calls that action went to that we did not. And POV is personal vehicles, so no departmental vehicles went, it was just a private vehicle. The following page is a breakdown of all types.
JT?
Go ahead.
So like 2A1 apparatus, what is that?
That's
Two
not all
ambulance
the ones.
Is there a way you could probably send something in your software to kind of give?
Yeah, I think I can make that show the full word out instead of the abbreviation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so A is the ambulance, E is the engines,
Got it.
F would be the forestry, and that would be the
Okay.
following page is a breakdown by call type. It gives the percentage, things like that. The 39.39% of our calls were medical calls. 12% of our calls were unauthorized burning or burning without a permit. And the last page is a breakdown by responder, so it shows who's out there, who's responding to calls.
With burning without permits, get tickets.
So, the forest ranger is one that actually issues the tickets, and he spent the weekend here in town, and I think we went to 4 in a row, and of those, he gave 2 of them.
Oh, wow.
usually get a warning, once you've gotten the warning, if we come back again, not so nice the second time.
Brush fires, brush fires.
Brush files, yeah, illegal material burning outside of the allowable hours, things like that.
Chico,
Yes,
Chief Eldridge and I are working on a grant. It opens up on Thursday, we're gonna put in a TV in Charlotte. Two firehouse sites. So we're gonna try for it, see what happens. As we talked about in all the folks who are meeting, it's one of the biggest things we've identified and really need to get for the town. So we're hoping to do. For the week. The only other thing I have for right now, as far as the committee for the new building, have you heard from Mike on some dates might be available?
anytime he said, just let him know.
Okay.
He did say, and, I feel confident saying that. He feels like if you have too many people. You don't gain much ground, there's a lot of conversation and not a lot of action gets done.
I agree.
So he feels that any more than 5 or 6 people is too much of a committee.
Okay.
That's,
How do you feel about next Tuesday evening? And is this room available?
Budget committee.
I think it's budget.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll work with Caitlin to come up with a date. Later on in the business. I have a couple of those.
Okay. That it?
But for now,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca, you wanna do your report?
Want me to go through what, yeah.
Yes.
So. We hired an office assistant to go to the time, and other tasks to. Tuesday. The household has a base station, banner has arrived at the station, there I. Then that, I think we're putting after. So that banner will be, it's up to. The fresh proposals for, second companies have been mailed to email. Nothing has been received yet. I did receive from one for one company, but they're unable to fit. And with the website, they are still being added, they are still being updated. And it is. I don't know. Find something, see something, be more than happy to go on and just there. And to enable to start off with your finance software. So this is two so far, MTS one of them, two is from the DSMI. Right now we are looking at other municipalities. These software programs. See how they like it, how they function, keep them in the day to day, to make sure we have a clear, better understanding.
That it? Thank you. Rebecca,
That's
Sure.
it.
you're up.
Here I am. You have my report. Oh, yeah, let's put the tables here.
Take it on paper.
We don't use it any of this.
Go ahead, fill us in.
I'm open for questions, it's pretty much self-explanatory, there's nothing,
So the first question I have, if I may,
Yeah, please, please.
so. I don't know if I lapsed in my memory of where we left it, because I know there was additional conversation, but I noticed that there was still an address not on it. 44,
24.
change it, no.
Oh, did they get taken off? Cause I'm in correspondence with them.
Yeah.
So.
Remember I brought it up last time that.
Yeah, and I guess I am in correspondence with them, we've exchanged emails and I just didn't put it back on. I think I must have taken it off because we had exchanged emails
And I said, well, it's moving forward, but, I,
Yeah, but is it finalized? I mean,
no,
Okay, so it should be put back much. So you had a busy month?
was pretty busy. What was it, 12 permits there? Something like that.
Well,
Yeah, I'm already up to 5 or 6 for July. So. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be dropping off. I'm not getting homes, not getting houses. Mostly accessory structures and, well, this month I've got a driveway. That I'm working on and one RV, and I tracked the guy down, so from it. And, the others are sheds and stuff like that. So,
Townhouse. That, top of the grade where the blowdown was with the tornado came through a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That driveway at the top,
the driveway at the top, yeah, with the deep embankments.
Yep.
Yeah,
down around the corner today, they had trucks and everything in the road, and they were digging away, putting in the driveway.
on that same side.
Yeah,
They've got a logging access down there. That was when they originally owned the property.
What was the truck? It wasn't Mike taking that ditch out, was it?
the way it looked like they were expanding what was there for a driveway. I don't know, that's why I'm asking. I didn't know if there was a, no, I almost ran into it today, going once.
Is it possible that they were just improving the drainage on their
Could have been.
wood road access?
well, there was no culvert there.
Well, maybe there was a couple things. with
It-
it.
There's a culvert.
That's right across the column.
Yeah. Culvert in the-
So that was the original roadway, original access anyway.
Yeah, that's essentially a logging access. And when you look at the configuration of the land, I mean, I could formalize it with a second driveway. There's no, and that's the classic example of you need 2 driveways in order to access different parts of the property. But when we talked to them about that access, they wanted to put the driveway up at the top. And I said, well, just make sure that other access point, the visibility is okay to be using it for logging. My guess is they're going back in, someone, with someone's input from the town, is going back in and fixing drainage. Because the fact of the matter is, it's not clear to me, because I don't do streets and roads. If a driveway where it hits the town road has a drainage problem, it doesn't fall in my department. I know it falls in streets and roads with the homeowner.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
falls on the home.
Or the homeowner or the town to say to the homeowner,
Correct.
we need a culvert here
No.
and.
Yeah, correct.
So-
And as a matter of fact, because we're talking about that, so there's 2 parts, is I addressed that as an issue with Mike when I rode the roads with Mike, which I didn't talk about that, but I think I talked about the last Tuesday, so I gotta add that.
It's okay.
We'll
have you jump in.
Yeah, is because there was no culvert in there, they just put big stone in there and they logged it. So Mike was gonna dig that out,
So there's culvert in there now, that's why I was asking.
so,
I don't do culverts.
so,
Not
so, yeah, I asked Mike to dig that out because that creates a stop
Okay.
for
Yep.
the erosion and creating problems we had
Probably
on
what-
rain last year, so he was gonna
Was it
address
a
that.
Kubota, red,
There was a small one, yeah.
red,
It might have been him. I didn't look to see who was driving it.
and he had signs up on the road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both
Was there a green 6-wheeler there? Dump truck?
With
Small
a
dump
trailer?
truck?
Come on.
I just wanna make sure it wasn't Mike.
I did,
There was a trailer there, there was a dump there, there was a mini excavator there,
Yeah.
there were signs on both sides of the road coming and
Yeah, it's
going.
Mike. I'm thinking it was Mike.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Said signs could have been spacing a little bit more though.
And it was a little tricky coming over there.
So then the other issue gets to, there's always been a roadway, there's always been a driveway there, going back to when the town owned that piece of
I
property.
was just curious.
So where, like driveways and accesses like that, does that fall in the grandfather effect?
Well, I don't know, what I generally do, I'm charged with issuing driveway permits. And what I generally do is tell people when they say, oh, there's already a driveway where there, it's a wood road. I say, as long as it's being used for that kind of access, then you're fine. If it's being used to access buildings, houses, homes, whatever like that, we need to upgrade it to to a driveway. And if, in that case, when they said they wanted to put it somewhere else, I said, well, then the other one needs to just be treated as a wood road.
But I would jump on that where if it's gonna cause erosion on the road or something like that, that is a driveway. Then I would say that stone should come out of there. So that the water can flow.
Yeah.
And we don't wanna ruin the
There's
business.
COVID in there now.
Well, in one of the things we identified when Mike and I was looking at those projects is there is a culvert there.
Yeah.
You just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So there.
So that was probably what he was digging out was the end of that culvert.
Guessing,
Dig out.
yeah, I'm guessing he was ditching it and reopening the
And
culvert.
if there's an existing culvert within a few feet of the road, even that clear is the county's responsibility, not- it's not guiding.
That was actually,
But that's not.
from what we did, in conversation last year. I won't go on that. Is there an RSA?
Well, I'd say
There
the
is.
culvert is probably in the town right away. And therefore it's the town's responsibility.
The town is
Now, if someone's
responsible.
putting in a driveway, then they are crossing from the town road through the town right of way that's next to the road onto their property. And we could debate till the cows come home, who makes the decision about whether culverts are required, whatever. I mean, the planning board does it when they're doing steep slopes and stuff, and subdivisions and stuff like that. But if in fact there is already a culvert there, and the culvert is within the town right of way, even if the homeowner has put it in, the town's responsible for
No.
maintaining its ditches? No.
The town is, actually, the RSA states, without having it from me, I'm gonna paraphrase. But the RSA states that the homeowner is responsible, and if it creates a problem and there's an erosion and a big storm, and it's caused by the lack of maintenance of the homeowner's culvert and driveway. And it impedes into or creates a dangerous situation on a public way. The homeowner has so many hours to mitigate the situation. If not, the town can come in and bill the homeowner or assess penalties to the homeowner if they haven't fixed it.
But you also
That's how
have
the RSA
situations where what may be clogging or driving problems with the culvert is runoff from the road or the side of the road that's part of the town right away, not, no.
I mean, that's all things that should be taken into consideration before a driveway permit is given.
Right.
Anyway, it's, the best location of a.
Right.
You could have 1,000 feet of sight distance either way, but have it,
Our driveway regulations don't go into it in a whole lot of detail, so. Anyway, it seems like. We
So-
know what happened there, so.
So the last two items on this, the Baptist church, there's no permit,
Well, the application came in, but I haven't done the site visit.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'll put in something that comes in at the very end of the month in order to get it in the paperwork. I actually did the site visits for that today and I'm issuing the permits.
and it's the one with the third. What's up?
What's up? Yeah, I pretty much resolved that.
yeah, okay.
It's, the RV there is not in use. They're rebuilding it or repairing it or whatever, which is why.
There's no board probably.
Well, there is a porta potty, but that's the health officer's department. I copied him on all the correspondence and it's.
Okay.
Up to him.
Any additional questions?
Thank you.
Okay, I've got one other thing. Somebody very kindly put down some reinforcement on the hall floor back there. It's now starting to collapse on the other side as you go into the offices. So
Okay.
it's a very soft spot and, I don't know what the answer is, but that's all.
Can you jump on it so I can find it?
I think you could.
Please
do it.
don't do that.
It's got a big hole in it. Yeah.
Um,
You know how they always ask if it's a workman's comp issue.
Coming it out there or put it in the water.
Well, handicapped access, no, there's a concept.
Please don't.
We keep going a long ways at this one.
Well,
One
the-
take.
The issue is that part of it is carpeted and let's
I'll,
try and keep it reasonable.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Anything else? I was reminded that you wanted a little more detail for the site visit stuff. and when I say a 9 site loop or something like that. I'll just let you know that,
Oh, yeah.
that I do,
Yeah. Yes,
I've got every something that I've
Yeah.
done since 2013.
and it was just like the loop,
Yeah, well, that's what I do, that's the
So,
most efficient
like-
way to do it, is
it's like a loop on
I
a
did,
big road, like Green Mountain Road, you start at one end and you loop around.
yeah, I did 5 sites today, but our form doesn't show, but as long as the photocopy of my mileage log will do it, then we're all set, okay.
Yeah, as long as it's minutes and you get there, yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so I was just asking you, I'd like to run some, and go to the posted.
Alan should be in my office is locked, but Alan's in there.
Super,
Thank you.
thank you,
Very much.
thank you. I can't click on that. Okay.
We never had a public debate. I think we should.
Rebecca,
Rebecca, can you hold on one second?
Anybody in the public like to ask Rebecca questions? You're on your way.
Thank you.
I had a children's book, go in the.
Chris, you mind if we-
Where the woman says, is there anything you wanna say to Dickie? He says, yes, I wanna say, I wanna put him in the garbage. But it's been a phrase in our family for 50 years.
So obviously, like I stated, I always remember things because I forget to bring my notes. When I get much older, I'm gonna be in trouble. I already know that. So where are we at with the treatment center? Appointment,
Still waiting to hear.
okay?
I'll follow up again tomorrow.
The wire, the communication wire that came down when the. Transfer station containers were leaving town. And
Oh, down by,
I said I tried picking it up, but it's like, I won't live long enough to pick it up, it's all picked up.
It
The
is?
best I can tell, it's all picked up, let somebody else see something, but. it's front.
Huh?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you made the phone call?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. What?
I was not a very nice person.
Thank you, JT.
I received a email and phone call from the office, there was a concern. Individual at 183 Bailey Road about gravel that was left from the bridge project. And it's impeding his ability to mow. So I did go down and did a site walk again. And there is a old pile of gravel, small, I can show you gentlemen the pictures, anybody else who wants to see them. In the area of the boat, I identified that the subject that was calling, that gravel wasn't, excuse me. On his property, it's actually on the property that's for sale, known as the Bailey Farm, which is 201 Bailey Road, I believe. And they kind of have an agreement, this gentleman, he parks his boat there and docks it there, so he mows it. So besides the container, Kevin was gonna go try to scoop up that gravel, just to. Allow them the ability to mow.
So is it on private property?
It's in the shoulder and it is possibly came from the bridge project. Cause the bridge is right here. If I figure out how to use my phone. There were piles on the other side, yeah.
It's on the other side of March Crossing.
So that's another angle.
Oh, okay.
And then just wants to mow this stuff. I also had a giant water snake try to make friends with me and I wanted no part of that while up there. And I also received several emails, phone calls, and talked to a person face to face that they're taking serious issues with what's happening with our roadways on Saturdays and Sundays, and particularly on Sundays after every single weekend. It's not just long weekends anymore. We talked about it with the PD. This past weekend, on Saturday at 10:30, the traffic from Route 16 on Elm Street was backed up to Green Mountain. It's only getting worse now that we are improving our roads. It makes it not only a shortcut, but it makes it a smoother shortcut. So there are people that said, and asked me to task me as a selectman. And they were being very serious, made that very clear that they were being very serious. What is the legality of us putting up a toll? Because we don't have a store, we don't have a hotel, they're not stopping here, they're just passing through, so they're putting a lot of wear and tear on our infrastructure. And they're just passing through. Yeah,
Which part of Effingham is gonna succeed this time?
and it would be a toll for, so basically, instead of an easy pass, like you have a transfer station sticker. That affords you
Have a gate?
free pass. And
I think that's against the law, I don't think we can do that.
I think there's a big legal issue with it, but I also think there's a huge town cost issue. As soon as you start basically saying. If you've got a permit, you can get through or not, now you're going to have to man that with a body. 24/7. During time periods, do that, and if you're gonna do it, it's called 365 days a year. Otherwise, you discriminate.
Right.
And there's just no functional way to do that.
Wouldn't it be,
Yeah.
I mean, usually they're coming down right field all the way Green Mountain. From 20,
so they come off of 153
right,
and they shoot right across.
so there's a
25.
possibility to put a sign up, say, hey, this is.
So that was one of the other things is they asked if we could at least put up a no through traffic or local traffic only sign.
Right.
Because getting so it's hard getting out of my.
Well, it's sort of like a sign on, hey, you're taking your chances on Sunday mornings, if you're gonna come through this road, good luck. I mean, something, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what the legality is putting a sign that says local traffic only.
You could, but nothing.
They're not gonna-
And the people that are riding it, aren't gonna care, just come drive it anyway.
Then a sign up this.
I mean, sometimes it's just it's a poker face thing. It's much like. It's a placebo, like kind of like the. Okay. This page went off and then he leaves, so kind of like the radar signs, you know what I mean? They don't. I don't know if I should say this publicly.
It doesn't,
They take a picture of your license plate.
Smile, you're on camera.
Yeah. So, kind of the placebo thing, if we put up the sign, maybe somebody would pay attention to it, I don't know.
I saw a post about the radar sign, somebody said, I like going through them as fast as I can to see how fast the sign is.
that's why we said,
Of course, they posted it as an amount.
Yeah, cool.
that's why we said it, well, someone that doesn't read it.
I was taxed by citizens, and so I done my due diligence. Just for the record, I did kind of look into the. I don't think that there's any way it could ever happen for all of the, I agree, all the reasons that you just said, manning 365, and it's like, well, that's how you pay for the person, the toll, and would you recoup enough on the weekends to do that? And so as soon as you get all the infrastructure and people say, I'm not paying that toll, I can just go a couple of miles this way and I'll sit in the traffic because I'm sitting in the traffic that way anyway. Now we have all this infrastructure that we're not utilizing, so. So yeah, but I did look, I mean, the state of New Hampshire's pulling out all their toll booths and we're gonna start talking about putting one in on the local road.
I don't think it's feasible.
I don't really.
I know it's not feasible.
Vicky has a question.
Yes, Vicky.
I'm sure there are other towns somewhere that are going through this, are going through it. I mean, we look into how they are. Business out there.
And there are other towns. The town of Freedom is going through the same thing because that traffic that's built up on Elm Street. The traffic was my understanding, both those same days from right here at 25 was all the way past the ice cream shop to the Austin Lake Road. So the town of Freedom is going through the same issue. However, that is a state highway. It's not a local highway. So
The town has no say.
Yes, Tyler. And as far as from our standpoint, it's just high influx of traffic, but when it gets that dense. It's drilling on a lot of motor vehicle violations per se. So. Realistically, all you can do is just be visible and try to, there's people that are frustrated from getting stuck in traffic. be sensible. Um, I don't know how else we can help. If you can think of anything, I'd be more than willing to try to help.
Put a big sign up says, do not follow your GPS. It's gonna get you into a line.
Just 1 minute. And a situation like that with Elm Street when it's backed up to Green Mountain, what about ambulance and fire trucks? I read it,
Yeah, I mean, we've got the license sirens,
so you can go.
and it's typically only back up one direction, so you can go out and around. I mean, yeah, it poses a hazard because now we're gonna be driving the wrong way for however many miles, but.
I used to love running the gauntlet down Route 16, I was on the ambulance, we get a call in Osby Corner
Yeah, on Sunday.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Driving the wrong direction on 16 from Green Mountain Furniture intersection.
Is there something we probably could look at other towns with situations like that across New Hampshire that they have like this and see what they resolve? Maybe our new assistant probably ask her for.
You know, it might be a good resource for that is Hampshire Municipal Association, they might have heard some conversation, and somebody may have had legal questions about what they can do for signage and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Be a natural place.
And I think Heidi's knows about that, yeah, she's aware, I mean, she has that experience, so yes.
And then finally, I did go around last Friday with Mike Popolski to address some of the existing washout areas that Ron and those guys have just been too busy to get to. And it's just Mike did a great job in the cleanup. We all agreed on that during the storm damage in April. He's one of the contractors that helped out. He's a local guy. Has the right size piece of equipment, obviously we're talking about, he's been out there on Townhouse Road. So we addressed all the issues, the spots that we talked about on Townhouse Road. I also thought about, Old Pound Road, that day we were out, the paved hill. So went up to look at that, and that still had some storm, some growth and a little bit of storm damage on Old Pound Road that hadn't been addressed yet. So Smith Family Tree Service went there and cut that all back so that Mike could ditch that. They did that last Sunday. Did a fantastic job. Did you do that Sunday? No, sorry, they did it Friday. Friday the 5th. I get all messed up because of the weekend, the Thursday was holiday. So they did a great job, and so he's gonna be addressing just that hill, the drainage on Old Pound Road. I mean, on the last paved hill. Yep. So if you see that Kubota tractor, it's a rubber track excavator and a green 6-wheel International. That's Mike Volkowski.
On the hill going up from my house, like my mother-in-law, by that right-of-way road to, that went into Bodie's property. There was a section in there.
I saw that when I walked the road on Sunday. I saw a couple of areas where it needs additional gravel, so.
It might provide gravel.
He can, he has the truck, but that, I mean. That's not necessarily, that's like current, like the areas that Mike's addressing, and yes, it's too late to put it in for the FEMA thing, but maybe it's not, so. That's still from last year's storm damage, so that's why we're isolating. This is a maintenance thing, so I feel like that would fall to our contractor.
Okay.
So.
If I can attribute it to the April storm, somehow, some way, the roads were soft when they started plowing, so. Road damage could have been caused that way. I can still put it for notes. We still don't have a declaration, right? It's been sent up.
Yeah,
on
right,
residence desk.
Yeah.
but Still waiting.
he's still trying to find his desk.
That's still different than past, yeah.
Yeah.
That is it now.
That is it, Tyler?
Well, as far as the Green Mountain meeting, if you guys would like, I can go up there tomorrow and see I don't know exactly what her title is up there, but every time I go there, she's the one that's in charge of everything. I can go see her and see if I can't try to push
return response. I acquired the administrator's cell phone number
Yeah.
inadvertently the other day, so.
The one I
Yes. I can go see her and see if I can push the return phone call to try to get on the calendar. Set something up sooner than later if the board wishes. We have a pretty good working relationship with her, so.
Okay, good. Everybody agree? Okay, great, good.
We'll handle it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, okay, number 8, business, creative procedure, contacting legal.
That was a little, that's pretty much creating a procedure on how. How.
Correct.
How.
So to follow up, and then basically, you know, we're all in agreement that we're trying to keep our legal bills low as possible. And I guess the planning board, all the other departments, before they contact legal, they're supposed to run it by the selectmen.
They, by law, do not have to get our permission. We can ask them if courtesy to do that. But they do not have to run it by us. We would ask them gently if they would, but they do not have to.
So
It was my understanding, and not that I'm not disagreeing with Chuck, it was my understanding that we already had a procedure in place. And everybody was adhering to that, and there was the occasional request through us. Well, like I'll use the planning board for an example. The chair last year of the planning board, George, would task me with it in a meeting, and I bring it to the board and I say, yeah, you're good to go. And then there'd be like follow-up things. And that would, it's like, oh, did I, no, that's a follow-up, that's an ongoing thing, but it's that initial. Because there was one issue where we had a bill for. Yeah, it was big, it was.
But I think we ought to have a discussion. To basically say, we really like to have you manage it tight. We'd prefer a procedure of this if you'd be willing to do it.
well, I believe that the boards would be willing to do it. Understanding, you know, from the taxpayers' money and all that stuff. So it's not a big deal just to run it by the selectmen, just upfront, because, you know, there's other resources we can utilize, let's do it. But at least we should have an understanding, not, you know, if it's gonna be a big cage or something like that, we should have an understanding what's gonna happen. Or what's gonna take from a legal standpoint.
I've been involved with enough of them, you are not gonna get that answer. But I would say from a procedure standpoint, everybody should be told to contact NHMA first. That should be the first line of fire.
Agreed.
But that's a coaching thing, that's an education thing.
So basically, we just need to revisit the conversation we already had as a courtesy. You know,
As a
so
reminder,
Should we write something up, procedures?
there was something.
I've never seen it. So I can look,
Never
if there's
seen it.
something there, I can.
Okay, I would like to see write up a procedure. So that at least they have a hard copy. And also, on top of that too, is even selective. We should not be contacting legal unless 3 of us agree. You know, if you gotta contact legal, we should run it by the other 2 selectmen.
depends on the issue, I will tell you that. I would agree with you, but I'm not gonna promise that 100%.
I'll promise that 100%. I'm never gonna call.
I'll promise that.
I'm gonna ask her to,
I'll promise that 100%.
because I just did, and shame on me, but it was to ask a question about whether or not they had bound counsel at our attorney. So hopefully they don't charge us for that phone conversation.
I don't think so. I don't know.
But outside of that,
I agree, I will too. So. Okay.
All right.
I will be very judicious. It has not happened more than once or twice in 5 years.
No, you, it's a couple, month or two ago, you did call when, legal. Yeah, an hour.
Why?
It was on a manifest.
Can you pull that, please?
I don't remember what day it was, but yes.
Thank you.
We're all set on that? Okay. Fire department chief, on your,
I
additional,
got a whole host of things, I apologize. Um, First thing I'm gonna go over, I got an email today from the state Homeland Security. They've opened up the hazard mitigation grant program. Which will provide us $7,500 towards updating our hazardous mitigation plan. Which is a required plan we have to update, I think it's every 5 years. And we're up for that.
this one?
It's, you don't have the documents for that.
Yeah.
The estimated cost is 10,000 total, so we'll have to come up with 2,500 for our portion of the grant. It's our match. But they're giving us 7,500 towards hiring the firm to update the plan. If we're in favor of that, I need a vote from the board tonight. To accept the grant and to authorize me to fill out the paperwork. We have to update it one way or another. So,
We do it out of pocket.
yeah, we either pay
I
the
agree.
in the pocket or we
Do
take
you
the
wanna
free money.
do it one thing at a time, or do you wanna? I make a motion to accept the grant.
Well,
Operations
hold
grant.
hold on a minute.
It's gotta
So-
be very specific wording.
And where will it come out of the budget?
I haven't had a chance to look entirely into it yet.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I should have thought of that. I'm sorry. I just. Yeah, Captain.
Like, maybe, I was thinking.
My initial thought would be to create a line in the emergency management budget and overexpend it. Knowing that bottom line would be okay.
What about capital reserve?
I don't think we have anything that would be relevant to that.
Nothing in there?
And what is this for? Hazard mitigation?
Yeah,
So wouldn't that fall under emergency management and disaster fund?
it would, but I think with the. Restrictions on that fund, I don't think we'd be able to take the money.
Money out of it for a grant.
Right.
Well, it's actually. It would be for the hazard mitigation plans, not for a grant. It just is, I understand what you're saying. It's our match, but it would be going towards the hazard mitigation plan.
So the completion date for this grant is August 4th of 2025. And of course, there's nothing saying when it's all gonna start. But I'd be willing to bet that we wouldn't owe them any money until after next time.
Right, go ahead, make a motion.
Because I mean, we have to do it.
No, yeah, I
Actually
agree.
brought up the
No,
hazard mitigation.
Even if he's gonna overextend,
It's overdue.
extend his number, as long as he's underneath the block line.
Yeah. Because if we don't do it, then we're gonna pay $10,000.
Oh, I agree, yeah.
And that,
So no
you know me, I've been accused of being anti-grant, but this is a different thing. It's not.
Go for the motion.
So it's gotta be very specific wording. So
You wanna give-
your motion is accepting the terms of the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant. In the amount of 7,500. I'll give you this, it's not exact, you can't read it line for line, but you can pull what you need out of it. And Kayla, the minutes have to be very specific because we have to submit it, so I'll give you that after.
Yes, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the terms of the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant totaling $7,500, $7,500 for updating our hazard mitigation plan Cost of this project is $10,000 and the town will be responsible for a 25% match of $2,500.
Good enough.
You do it.
Second. All in favor?
Stevens, aye.
And then the last part of that, there's another motion there. Authorize me to fill out the paperwork, basically.
Forget about it.
Huh? Oh. I need to make a motion to authorize the fire chief to be the signature of the certificate of authority for additional guidance.
I've got to have everything into them by the beginning of August.
I actually have a check for that, but I used to down all this before something. And actually went down.
There is, so there, I do have a form that the chairman will have to sign as well.
All right, second.
It is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Leo, you'll have to fill this out and sign this, just further affirming, and it's gotta be notarized. Further affirming that I can fill out the paperwork.
You can't sign that now. You gotta sign it.
It's gonna be notarized.
Actually, right there.
Not. So you got that back? I thought you can.
No, can't, so, notary I have.
I still say we can't make it, I don't know why. Thanks.
All right, I think that's it for that. The paperwork I put in front of you, we'll go with the small one first. I finished up a draft MOU for the town of Freedom for the sharing of the emergency shelter. We've talked about it a bunch of times in the past. I used an MOU template and just kind of put everything I could think of out on paper, and there it is. We're not looking to cover every little nuance. There's gonna be a manual to operate the shelter that has all the specifics in it. But this is what I got to start.
You need the board, the select board, to reach down to sign this.
So I believe you guys already motioned to put it in my court and just have me take care of it.
Okay.
So I'm willing to sign it unless you feel the board should sign it. Yeah, make sure liability is covered.
I'm good with the, as long as we, remember making the motion, so.
Yeah. And Freedom has done the same, so Rob is handling it on their end as well.
Okay.
So I'll run it through Primex tomorrow and just make sure they're kosher with liability and go from there.
Agree.
Any questions? No? That's good.
And the last one.
Now we just gotta get the generators.
Yeah, right. Last thing is a final copy of the RFP for the refurbishment of engine 2. I know you've already reviewed this. I put the final touches on it. Including the dates and whatnot, and I'd like to get that put out as early as Caitlin can physically do so.
Want me to-
Proposals will be due September 3rd, which is 60 days out.
Can I just say one thing? Your email. Okay.
I noticed, I just noticed that as I was looking at it too. Yep, I typed my email wrong, but outside of that,
Do we want a little time to read this before we approve it, or?
You didn't change, did you say? You
I haven't changed any of the core content, no.
Oh, okay.
No, we just think.
I added the verbiage to the top about, what we're required, where to mail it to, when it's due, all that stuff, and that's really all I've done. I added a couple generic photos to the end.
They get required to just local statewide ad, big rat.
And they'll be providing the quotes based on each component, right?
Yep, so it does specify as much as possible to do a line by line breakdown.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna see each individual item, they just typically don't operate that way. But I think they can at least narrow it down to pump components, you know,
The
groups
groups,
of items
yes.
rather than just a number.
Right.
Um,
And if we got a question, we can dig into it.
of the 3 quotes we got before, Dingy Machine was one of them in Cornish, New Hampshire. He was one of the ones that we kind of liked. Mr. Dingy passed away 2 or 3 days ago. So that was one of our questions from the beginning, is at some point he was getting older, so when he passed away, what would happen with his business? So I guess we're gonna find out immediately what's gonna happen with his business.
Was there, how many people he had working?
It was a family thing, so the rumor on the streets is his daughter's gonna take over the business. So
Right,
hopefully they'll respond to the RFP and still be in the game.
so. You need a motion? Second. All in favor?
You want to have
What is it?
a conversation?
Well, I got, pull up on my
Yes.
second.
I don't have any conversation, it just I'm coming at it as a procedure thing, this is a big thing, just in case somebody might have had a question.
I didn't ask any comment. All right, we're good. So I'll check it. All in favor?
Comment? Questions? All in favor, aye.
Give me a hard time, right?
I know, like I said, this is a big item, so procedural, usually somebody makes the motion, it gets seconded, and then you open it up for conversation.
You're right, you're right.
Thanks, chief.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing tomorrow?
Yep.
Thank you.
Announcements, I don't think we have any. None? No. Announcements.
I think so.
Right, public comment. See the hand, Vicky.
First, next Tuesday is also a budget. I know there's a budget meeting for the district. The other thing is, I noticed that Chris and you for speaking loud enough for us. But I noticed, even if I sat up closer, that there is quiet conversation between during this. And I think, especially with the people, I noticed there that you get very good voice. I know Chuck turns his head and you guys kind of have a conversation amongst yourself, and we don't hear. I'm not the only one. I can't afford hearing it, sorry.
I understand.
But even ones that can, that have good.
When I do that next time, would you say? Look at
Speak
the
up.
audience?
Speak up.
Just a little.
Tell my hand up.
No,
Yes.
would you mind if
That
that?
we don't.
Yeah, just say, we're, you notice.
Just say something, Vicky.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do it consciously, but,
No, I'm not.
but I understand what you're saying.
But it's like, I feel like we're not part of your, conversations up here, that is amongst yourselves sometimes. And I just,
I got it,
I just.
I'm good.
And I'm okay with you saying.
What's going on? Conversation is wrong.
Okay. Look at that.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah, good place, say something, and then I'm gonna take those benches and move them up here.
But even if I sat up here. Kind of.
With the air conditioning, kind of understand me, it's worse. We got it. Thank you for pointing it out in the future.
Please speak to it too. So you missed some meetings, glad to see you back. One of the meetings you missed, I did get the speakers and the microphone back up and working. And we didn't need to use them because we didn't have an audience. So if you feel that that's necessary, we can certainly bring that back. And I know that our sidebar conversations, we're not making any decisions. It's like me saying to the chairman, hey, I forgot, I did have stuff on my report and things of that nature. And did you do that? Did we talk about that? Because human nature, when we're all discussing things, that refreshes our memories, and it's like, oh, we need to talk about that, we need to talk about that, and we do that, so.
But we don't know that.
Right.
out here.
No, but I just wanted to clarify that,
Yeah.
from my standpoint, that's, and like, I'm sure there was a conversation about the legal stuff.
Yeah.
And we were talking amongst
Yeah.
each other, so that's probably a perfect example, and.
Yeah.
I mean, if it runs into a problem, especially given the temperature and the air conditioner is running, I'm more than happy to, I can't speak for these two, but. The third is, I'm more than happy to put that microphone right on that table and turn those on, so.
Yeah, okay,
I have no problem with it.
I have no problem with that.
But you gotta show up, cause you miss one meeting, it's going back in the buff.
Well, I understand that, but I have family things going on,
Oh, so you're already making excuses.
but I can't be at them all. Yeah. I would love to. I would rather be here, believe me. You know.
So any additional comments from the public? Okay, so. We're gonna be going into a non-public, RSA 91-8:3, comma 2. Small c, reputation.
Second,
I,
Siemens, aye.
Thank you.